Hopefully it's unmuted. All right. Hopefully the mic's working now, but it's Wednesday, January 26th, 2028, and a lot's going on in the world. And of course, we're glad to be talking about that here on Pod TV and seeing what people's reaction are to a number of these news stories are. And all along those lines, I see I've got Dr. Sharif with me, and I'm sure others will be joining later as well. So definitely a lot's going on in the world, and always glad to be talking about what's happening in the world. Starmer wants UK pick to win over China's G without annoying Trump. So China's trip will bring benefits to UK, Starmer insists as he lands in Beijing. Very low bar is what analysts are saying as Starmer faces slim pickings in China. And as Trump shuffles the global order, UK Prime Minister has headed to Beijing. South Korea's former First Lady sentenced to 20 months in prison for corruption. The man of her household, the rise and fall of a First Lady. South Korea's ex First Lady is jailed for 20 months for bribery. So that's the charges in that particular case and all along those lines. In Kherson, Ukraine, every step outside risks death by drone. So definitely a lot of drone attacks going on both in Ukraine and in Russia. And scientists move doomsday clock to 85 seconds before midnight. So doomsday clock ticks closer than ever to apocalypse. So definitely the scientists have set a new time. Every second counts. The doomsday clock moves closer to midnight. So the doomsday clock is at 85 seconds to midnight, and threats from climate crisis and AI are what are pushing it in that direction. India to slash tariffs on cars to 40% in trade deal with the EU, according to some sources, and we had reported on that a couple of days ago. So all eyes are on Trump's reaction to the mother of all deals between India and the EU. And Russian strikes civilian train in Ukraine, killing 5 in an attack Zelensky calls terrorism. So Russian strike on passenger train in northeastern Ukraine kills 5, and Zelensky has condemned terrorism after the Russians hit that particular train. And there was dramatic footage showing babies among those evacuated from the blazing Ukraine train. And former French senator found guilty of spiking lawmakers' drink with ecstasy. So definitely former French senator convicted of drugging a colleague intending to assault her. So how French ex-senator trial brings national attention to drug-facilitated sexual assault. So definitely that's something that is going on. And as we were talking about yesterday, sexual assault is a major issue even on our college campuses here in the United States. And as we reported yesterday, Israel has retrieved the remains of the last hostage, Rand Geveli, from Gaza. So that is definitely something else that people are talking about as well. And of course, people are talking about Xi Jinping's purge of top general sends China's military into uncharted water and all along those lines. So definitely that's something that people are paying attention to as well. And a man was tackled to the ground after spraying an unknown substance on Representative Ilhan Omar. So I don't let bullies win, is what the U.S. Congresswoman Omar said after a substance was thrown at her, and the lawmakers condemned the disgusting attack on Ilhan Omar at a Minneapolis town hall. So definitely Representative Omar was attacked in Minnesota as Trump says he wants to de escalate state tensions. So he's saying he wants to de escalate some of those tensions. And a Second Amendment backlash follows portrayal of Alex Preddy by some Trump administration officials. So, 2 federal officers fired guns in Alex Preddy's shooting, initial DHS report says. So, Republicans are wrestling with immigration message after the Minneapolis backlash. So, internal review contradicts White House's narrative of Preddy's death. And Trump warns Iran time is running out as U.S. military builds up in Gulf. So Trump warns Iran as Armada is heading its way and to agree to a nuclear deal or else. So definitely that's something that people are talking about as well. And as Minneapolis rages, legislators are moving to restrict ICE in their states. So U.S. state lawmakers are pushing to allow lawsuits against ICE agents. An Ohio group wants to hold ICE agents accountable by closing this federal loophole. So Connecticut Democrats are worried about ICE violating residents' civil rights, and there are some people that are saying, what will they be doing about that in their area? And shutdown threat weighs on Senate lunches. So definitely the government is barreling toward a partial shutdown over DHS funding And the two big decisions facing Democrats ahead of a shutdown is what the Wall Street Journal was reporting. So, DA spending bill would formalize Trump cuts to oversight offices. And Republicans turn on Nome and demand resignation. So Kristi Noem faces bipartisan criticism after the Minnesota shooting. So Noem's handling of the shooting puts her in the Trump's penalty box, but just briefly. Insiders say Trump move is a major disaster for Ice Barbie. So GOP on defense over Noem's future as Congress nears shutdown deadline. And judge finds Virginia Democrats' redistricting resolution illegal. So the Virginia judge has blocked Democrats' efforts to redraw congressional maps. So Virginia Democrats' redistricting push is dealt a setback by the state court in that particular area. And CBS 2 chief meteorologist Roland Stedham dies in a plane crash. So the CBS Boise chief meteorologist was killed in a plane crash. He was visited aviation students just days before the fatal Payette River plane crash, and all along those lines. And apparently, he was a beloved CBS meteorologist. Speaking of meteorologists, forecast models are predicting a possible East Coast bomb cyclone this weekend. So another weekend winter storm. So there is millions under cold weather alerts as below freezing temperatures remain. So where a nor'easter will bring heavy snow, strong winds, and waves this weekend. So it looks like the East Coast storm this weekend could become bomb cyclone with more snow and wind from the Carolinas to New England. So we'll see if this plays out or doesn't play out. And pressure grows on Stephen Miller after Alex Preddy killing, but Trump is unlikely to cut ties. Stephen Miller suggests federal agents may have diverted from protocol before the Minneapolis shooting. And Stephen Miller admits CBP may have violated that protocol and all along those lines. So that's just some of the news that's going on. There are more No King protests planned for March 28th as the outrage spreads over the Minneapolis death. So the third No Kings nationwide protest is planned for March. Anti-Trump No Kings protest organizers target Minneapolis St. Paul for next flagship demonstration. So it does look like there'll be a bunch of those protests going on in the month of March, which is only 2 months away. And 6 people are presumed dead in a Bangor plane crash. So family identifies 4th victim in Maine, deadly plane crash tied to a Houston law firm. So definitely that is something going on as well. And Rubio to warn that U.S. is prepared to use force if Venezuela does not meet demands. So Rubio will be testifying about Venezuela at a Senate hearing today, and he'll be testifying over the U.S. capture of former Venezuelan President Maduro, and he's bracing for Senate scrutiny over Venezuela and how that was handled, and all along those lines. So that's a lot that's going on in the world. I'm going to bring in Rick Rosner, see what he's got going on, and also Dr. Sharif is with us, but it looks like he stepped away from the computer for a minute, so I'll bring him in when he comes back on and everything like that. So how are you doing, Rick?
I'm okay.
Good. What's going on in your neck of the world? That's all that we have.
Let's talk about the Melania movie, the Melania documentary.
Okay.
Directed by Brett Ratner, who's in the Epstein files. He's a well-known director who is also a well-known sexual predator.
Wow.
She got paid $28 million. It's an Amazon production. She was paid by Jeff Bezos. The movie's budget, $40 million. Advertising budget, $35 million. And it's widely expected to... nobody wants to see this freaking movie. They've started selling tickets, advanced sales in London, England, okay. And so far, out of like 5 theaters, a total of a dozen tickets have been sold.
A dozen tickets, that's not good. I've done events where there's been low ticket sales and everything like that, and that's never a good thing when you've got low ticket sales, particularly with something with this much hype. I was actually curious to your reaction because, the first thing that crossed my mind, and I hate to say this, is some of the chemicals that have been sprayed, anthrax, I think it's called, or something like that. How's it pronounced?
Anthrax?
Anthrax, yeah. When that's the first thing that crossed my mind when Representative Omar was sprayed with this mysterious chemical.
Yeah, it's possible, but I mean, the guy was a crazy idiot, and if you want to get a hold of anthrax, it helps to not be a crazy idiot. It's not the easiest stuff to get a hold of.
And I don't think they've identified what the chemical was. I just know some people said it was very foul smelling, whatever it was, and everything.
It could have been some kind of deer or bear repellent, or deer. It could have been pee. We don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know yet what it was, but it could have been anything. She said she's not going to let bullies stop her from criticizing Christy Gnomes and other people as well. But yeah, that was the story that I saw when I was watching and getting ready to go to sleep yesterday and everything. So that one came across my news feed in the late night and everything along those lines. But yeah, Dr. Sharif, what's going on in your world? Because this was and what have you got going on in your world? You're on mute right now, but what have you got happening in your part of the world? He's still on
mute. Muted. Okay, while he's muted, I'm going to say that Trump's approval ratings have hit the lowest point of his second term in office.
Wow. And what are those approval ratings?
He's down. For momentarily yesterday, he dropped under 41% for the first time. Now he's back up to barely 41%. But he's caught in the middle because he has to say you can't carry guns or you're going to get shot, which pisses off Second Amendment people. He has to back off in Minnesota because everybody's so pissed at ICE and the Border Patrol being so violent and incompetent. That pisses off the people who voted for him because he was going to be mean to immigrants. So he's in a tough place.
He's in a tough place. Speaking of tough place, apparently the first U.S. execution is scheduled for Texas. Apparently, a Texas man is slated to be the first person executed in the U.S. this year for killing his ex-girlfriend. So he's scheduled to be executed in the 1998 killing of his ex-girlfriend and new paramour and everything like that. So the grieving son will be attending the execution of mom's killer. And he said it's been tough and all along those lines. So I don't know your take on U.S. executions or executions.
A death penalty is messy. When they follow up with further investigation, about 10% of death penalty executions turn out to have been in error. And you said this was a murder that took place in 1998.
Yes.
And so here we are, almost 28 years later. And imagine the legal expenses of all the defense, all the appeals, is it really a deterrent? I don't know. But generally it's not done very well.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking, even if he is guilty, we're talking about him coming to what some people would consider justice 30 years later and like that. So I'm imagining that if the son might have been a young man, maybe even a teenager, I didn't get that far into the news story, and now the person would probably be in their 40s and something like that.
Sorry to say it, but instead of the death penalty, the guys, when they execute, you're dead. You're not suffering anymore. But the people you left behind, the victims, they continue to suffer. I know it's against our Constitution, but I'm sometimes in favor of cruel and unusual punishment. Instead of if they prove that somebody is guilty of a wanton act of just violence, then put them in a deli slicer every day. Just hold their feet up to the slicer and take another slice off of them until you're up to their knees. That seems like more of a fitting punishment than putting them to death.
That would be a long and excruciating death and everything along those lines.
And it's also unconstitutional.
It's very unconstitutional. I did have a guest on the online dinner party. I think that was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And that's actually what her book was about, and her life was about, was that the being the other victim, as you're just saying, because there are other victims that are involved in those cases. So I think she was the wife of one of the people that had been murdered in that particular case, if I'm remembering correctly.
All right. One more thing about this is in the near future, some people already have chips in their head.
Mm-hmm.
And in the future, it might be that when somebody commits a heinous act and is just an incorrigible bad guy, you could put a chip in their head that turns them into less of a bad guy. And if you fixed them, then what do? They're not the same person anymore.
Would this be Rick? Would this be the digital version of a digital lobotomy and everything like that?
Yeah. Like, what's going to happen then? Things are going to get weird, but everything's going to get weird. All right.
Speaking of things getting weird, and I do want to get to Dr. Sharif, but what is your thoughts around the doomsday clock being moved up?
All right, so it's now 1.4 minutes away from midnight, and they said it's because our precautions against nuclear war are threadbare.
Right.
That a lot of times our nuclear it relies on luck. Like in the 80s, Russia got a notice that dozens of missiles were flying towards the Soviet Union, and there was a colonel in charge of whether or not to fire missiles back. And this guy said, "This seems like a glitch. This seems like bullshit. I don't want to destroy the world because of some kind of electronic glitch." And this Soviet officer did not retaliate, and it turned out it was a glitch, and he saved the frickin' world. But we don't want to be in a position where we have to rely on the hunch and good judgment of one guy. That's bad, and so that's a problem. AI is a problem, especially if we're putting AI in charge of making military decisions or facility. I mean, that's just frickin' Skynet.
Yeah, that's Skynet and everything like that. But speaking of that, the Trump administration is doing all kinds of amazing things, according to some people, and some people are wondering about what some of the things they're doing are, like the ballroom and other things. But apparently, NPR has reported that the Trump administration has secretly rewritten nuclear safety rules. So I'd love to hear if you found out anything about that. But they're saying that they have secretly rewritten the nuclear safety rules, and all along those lines.
I don't know if that's for nuclear weapons or nuclear reactors.
Then that I'm not sure about it either.
But the deal is that most of the time when a nuclear reactor has a disaster, it's because they weren't following the rules. Chernobyl, the biggest nuclear disaster, was people testing out the system and doing it wrong because they were frickin' idiots. They were testing the system to see what happens if we do this and what happens if we do that. And they did that, and it destroyed the reactor, and it's now an entire 50 by 50 mile chunk of Ukraine, something. You can't even go in there because it's permanently radioactive. The dogs in the area have turned blue, either from nuclear mutation or because they got into some blue paint. I don't know, but and that was just it. There was nothing really faulty about the reactor. It was the people who were faulty. So if Trump is relaxing the frickin' rules, it's he who is faulty.
He who's faulty, we'll find more. By the way, they're saying U.S. population growth slows sharply as immigration numbers are plunging. So apparently our immigration numbers are plunging, and definitely there's even some states that are going faster than others. But foreign-born population has fallen by 1.5 million amid Trump's policies.
So let's ask Dr. Sharif: is your population still growing like crazy, or has it leveled off?
Our populations, I do not want to say growing like crazy, but definitely we have around 171 million people in a small part of this world. It's a huge amount of people. I want to see it as a productivity. One thing, like if students engage too much with politics, there is a chance they will be unemployed. That is the things I also want to criticize for Bangladesh. On the other hand, when you discuss about different issues of Bangladesh, I do focus on talent economy because from my last 15 years of journey, I saw there are a lot of talent around the world. But it has lack of employment, lack of economical investment, technological engagement, or infrastructural development. And I see, according to the US government data, December 2025, total number of unemployed people in the United States was about 7.5 million people, meaning people who do not have a job or actively seeking work and available to work. So it's a key figures like unemployed person until December 2025. It's a January 2026, 7.5 million. This is officially count from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and unemployed rate is 4.4%. And beside that, I just try to understand like uh, how this Bureau of Labor Statistics in USA or current popular survey CPC model actually work. They count unemployment based on number one, those who do not have job, number two, are available to work, number three, have actively looked for job in the last 4 weeks.
Mhm.
So the indicators I want to work or I want to discuss and contribute. We discuss a lot about this artificial intelligence in USA and USA growth. We do discuss a lot about quantum computing. We do discuss a lot about this uh, defense. Definitely, US defense is world one of the best. Same problem Bangladesh also have. Bangladesh is small. Bangladesh also have. It's not I'm criticizing US. I'm trying to go for constructive arguments because talent economy is my core and other things. So, so US, if they can invest beside this defense and other things, if they invest more in this unemployment people, give them more chance and opportunity for jobs. If because of AI many people lose their jobs, I think US need to develop better policy, how they can protect human right to get the job, how people can get the jobs and all of the things. um, and third important factor for me, that how they train the peoples, educate the people. We see that China, we see Germany, we see Singapore, we see South Korea, how they investing in the youth. Whatever it is, you have oil and gas and all of the technologies and other things. If the people of Bangladesh or USA they do not have a job and other things, it's actually very crucial for us. So I request through this program to the US communities, US bank, US financial institutions, US government agency, or US universities or corporation, you should more provide more opportunity to the youth, to the unemployment peoples, give them maybe a learning and earning opportunity. They can get into the corporation, they can earn, they can pay their house rent, they can pay their food bills, they can pay their medical bill, and they can learn and they can grow and they can contribute for the company. That is the things I think USA, all of the big tensions they discuss a lot, and they bring this all of the media things and everything, but the grassroots level community engagement with the American people is very important. The same way, this is not American people I'm requesting, Bangladesh, the new government is coming, things is happening. I request the Bangladesh government, you should focus on reducing this unemployment. You do all of the mega project. Bangladesh do not have zero values. Better, you have to ensure how these people get jobs, how they earn money, and how they go for it. And this is not intellectual discussions. I am also contributing through Japan, through USA and European alliance, through Indian alignments, through Pakistan alignment, how I can create more opportunity. My target, each and every student or each and every people, those who under ecosystem of World Talent Economic Forum institutions, they can earn at least $1,000 every month. That is good amount of money, decent amount of money. They can survive in Bangladesh. But I see most of the countries, big countries to small countries, country like big economy to USA, to country like a small economy to Bangladesh, they naturally avoid these unemployment issues. You can see China doing fantastic jobs. China doing all of the good things. They're creating a lot of opportunities for their youth, for their education, for their research. And you can find now most of the top tier research universities and scientific innovation happening in China. So that is the way that the difference will happen. So yeah, that is my argument and that is my appeal.
Yeah, appreciate it
All
and
right,
everything.
so let's talk about growth for a second. So I looked up Bangladesh. In the 60s, Bangladesh was growing at 3% a year, which means its population would double in 24 years. Now it's down to 1%, which means it would take 72 years for the population to double, which is typical of a bunch of countries. Most of the countries in the world have slowing growth rates. Some countries like Japan have negative growth rates. They're getting smaller. The US during COVID had the U.S. populations never had a year where our population went down, but it came the closest during COVID, where the population grew only at 1/5 of 1% a year.
Yeah, Rick, but if we're losing 1.4 or whatever amount that I
Well,
just said
this year
people
it's
from
expected.
immigration, won't the number go down because we're losing a lot of people?
So yeah, so this year the population is supposed to increase by only 1/2 of 1%, which is about 1.7 million people. But if we kick out 1 or 2 million people, that might get rid of all the net growth, and we might now. Trump's not as successful as he wanted to be at kicking people out, so maybe that won't happen. But if he kicks out as many people as he wants, yeah, we could have 0% growth.
And just really, go ahead.
No, so people who are anti-immigrant say, well, they're buying all our houses, they're making apartments expensive. At our growth rate, no, it's not really that.
There's a lot of empty buildings in places like Durham, places like Charlotte, places like a number of places I know that have built apartments, built office complexes, and they're not at maximum capacity. So that's another issue. Is that
but are investors stockpiling them in order to keep rent high and purchase prices high? That's more of a problem in terms of housing costs than immigrants.
Right, I would agree that that's more of a problem. Just really quickly, and this is both you and Dr. Sharif and everything. Had a show that was taped yesterday. Actually, was live for her, but it'll be on our show on Thursday with Lisa Hughes, who does the show about relationship soup that we air on Thursdays. But she had the pleasure of interviewing the producer or one of the producers of Tupac Shakur. And one of the things that he was talking about, which I know the Trump administration is big on and other people are big on, is this notion of mentorship. So she interviewed the gentleman, Lowe, who is a producer for Tupac, and he's got his own mentorship program and all along those lines. So is that the direction that we need to go in? And do you have a lot of mentorship programs in both California and in Bangladesh? Because that's where I think they're trying to get people to fill in where some of the holes have been, is the idea of mentorships.
My kid got involved in, was the mentee in several programs. And yeah, that's freaking great, because then you get tailored education.
Right.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Rick, you finish first, then I come. I think
I just saying that, that's kind of the British way of going to college at like Cambridge and Oxford. You get a tutor who gives you assignments. You're one-on-one, and they tell you, go do this, go read this, go write this, come back, see me in a week, and we'll talk about it. And that's a great way to learn. I mean, it really holds your feet to the fire and makes you perform. And also you get just very specific and directed, education.
Very good. As World Talent Economic Forum, we are focusing on this kind of program. Let's say I work with MIT React from in USA. They do engage with African communities, and they help these mentorship programs. And I'm one of the mentors. And we help African communities, especially Kenya, Ghana, South Africa. Let's say they have agricultural resources. They have people from mining industries, and we help them to grow their economy through entrepreneurial initiative. Honestly speaking, if I am the position that I have ability to help California, what you said, Californian economy and other things, I go in this way directly. Let's say there are a lot of immigrants in California. I see from China, from India, from Bangladesh, from Middle East, everywhere. There are a lot of immigrants. So every immigrant has some good contact in their country, right? So I will use them as a mentor for California. So California has a lot of good innovation through Stanford, through NASA, through Apple, through all of the things. Technology heavily demanded in Bangladesh, heavily required in Africa, heavily required in India, Pakistan, and everything. So with technologies, I naturally use the immigrant to go for the mentoring, the business relationship to Bangladesh, improve the Bangladesh business cultures, improve North America, let's say South Asian business culture or African business culture. Through this process, This immigrant, they can be more productive. They do not depend. What is Trump agreement? They do not depend on American resources or social welfare. They can earn. On the other hand, they can market more technologies and startup in the global communities. Maybe some of the startup can solve Bangladesh water related problem. Some of the startup can solve Bangladesh housing problem. Some of the healthcare can solve India healthcare issues or Africa healthcare issues. So selling hate. I hate immigrant. I hate Bangladeshi, or I hate black people. This is not modern leadership. I want to be a catalyst. I want to be a productive. So productive means utilizing your human resources in a positive way. So that
Let's
is the
talk.
way USA can be more financially viable, and it's happening through MIT React. USA can be more economically solvent. USA can utilize their resources, even though I want to welcome American people, let's say your kids. Let's come to Bangladesh, do job for 6 months with a multinational company, with a big company, make business relationship like China. Like Chinese people, not like that. Chinese people go around the world. They come to Bangladesh, they go to Malaysia, they go to Africa, they go to USA, and they make business relationship. They learn from theirs and they applied it for the country. That is the beauty of America, China. China is immigrant nations. China is fully immigrant nations. And if I ask any of the Americans, hey, Bangladesh is bad, this weather is bad, I'm not comfortable with that, I'm big guy, I want to discuss in the internet. So that is the way is a superpower, undoubtedly. America has a lot of intelligence. They say, Rick, you are intelligent. You are one of the smart men in this world. Mark, you are the best media person. So come and join with the community.
We freaking might. Our kid recently visited your part of the world, loved it, and maybe I can talk
Excellent.
my wife into us going over there.
Sure, I want to invite you. I'm sure you will
Thank you.
enjoy. I will enjoy. I want to invite you in our ecosystem. Engage with the communities. Make network, right?
Yeah,
Do
no,
this.
because I'm terrible at networking and I've suffered for it. But I want to give a specific example about how
Yeah,
mentorship can save people. Because
yeah.
5 years ago, everybody, AI was maybe everybody was afraid AI was going to disrupt all these jobs. So people said the only safe job is coding.
Mhm.
Learn to code, learn computer languages, and you'll be safe. Then AI came in, and now AI is better at coding than 90% of coders. And so that turned out to be terrible advice. So, but if you had a mentor who's working at Google or at OpenAI or whatever, they could tell you what it looks like in the office, on the ground, and what you should do. Like, should you still be a coder? What kind of coder should you be? Should you be an AI whisperer, somebody who types in the questions for AI to respond to? I don't know, because I don't have a mentor. But if I knew somebody who worked at Chat GPT or something, maybe they could tell me what's what.
Yeah, and I've got to
Yeah.
reach out to some of my because I know there were some ladies that I knew that were involved in Black Girls Code, which was an effort to get more African American women into coding and into computer science, and it is still active and all along those lines.
Here's another field. Freaking OnlyFans now has 3.3 million people on OnlyFans, and say you want to make money, but you don't want to like show everything, and you don't want to have sex, but you want you don't mind, but you're in good, like maybe you could have a mentor at OnlyFans who can show you how to be on there, how to grow a subscriber base without being a total whore.
Well, speaking of OnlyFans, I was watching a documentary recently. It was a documentary on something that you know a little bit about because you were involved in the stripping space and all along those lines. It was actually a very interesting one, but it was about the burlesque industry. So I was just wondering your take on the burlesque industry because it is still very much out there, and there are a number of people that are still doing burlesque. So this documentary was actually about a
Okay,
burlesque show that was themed around Weird Al Yankovic.
So in the early 20th century, there was very little pornography. Adam Carolla says that our grandpas, if they wanted to look at sexy stuff, they had to go lie on a grassy hill and look up at the sky and wait for a sexy shaped cloud to drift by. And like, so there were these things that like bordered on, burlesque was sexy without, the typical burlesque performance. This lady comes out with big feathered fans and she pulls off clothes, but the fans, make it so you don't see anything. It was like very, very soft core. And it was like a skilled thing. And some people are still practicing that deal. I want to go back to mentorship though for 1 second, where one place where people get mentored extensively is law enforcement. Mm-hmm. Go to the police academy for 9-10 months, and then they put you in a squad car with an experienced officer who teaches you how to be out on the streets. There's this ABC show, I think it's like in its 5th season now, called The Rookie, that goes into that whole thing, the whole training deal. And what we're not getting with ICE is any mentorship or like training. They give them 4 to 8 weeks of training and then just stick them out on the streets in little gangs.
But the training can be also problematic, because I know that in Georgia there was a compound. I think that it is now built. If it isn't already built, it is being processed of being built, but it's supposed to be a training facility out in the wilderness, as you were saying, for the police to learn and everything like that. But there were some people, including some Mother Nature advocates and others, they were not too pleased with that particular thing being built in Georgia, and there were some protesters, and actually there were some deaths of some of the protesters as well, and everything like that. So I just wanted your take on, because even here in North Carolina, there have been some complaints about some of these training grounds and where they are built. They're kind of like the modern day.
Yeah, I don't have any opinion about where they are, but my opinion is the more training, the better. They've doubled the number of ICE agents in a year, and that means you got untrained, very unsupervised people who don't know how to frickin' be. And I just read an article about the old ICE agents, the ones who've been working for years, and how pissed they are at the new culture of people not knowing what the hell they're doing.
No, I just watched a video yesterday from Don Lemons, the commentator and everything like that, and he actually had
frozen
day and everything, but it was a gentleman that was of African descent and was an Uber driver, but he was also an engineer, speaking of training and all along those lines. But he was actually having an encounter with the ICE agents, trying to find out why they were harassing him, because he was just at a airport, I believe it was, or someplace to pick up his Uber customers, but they were harassing him because of the accent and everything like that. And I think a couple of them had accents as well. So he was actually teasing them and all along those lines. And there was an ex-officer. I don't think he was an ex-ICE officer, but he was not too pleased at the way that they had been.
Yeah, so I did nightclub security for 25 years, and I was a big pussy. I was good at getting hit, but I wasn't good at and you really don't, as security, you really don't want to beat the hell out of people. But if you get a little group of guys who think that's fun, then they can cause a lot of trouble for your bar. And I was always the little pussy who's like, I think he's had enough, and everybody'd be like, yeah, you get out of here.
Yeah, but that might have been you. But as I know, and I'm sure Kim knows this as well, some nightclubs, because I even know here in North Carolina, there's some Latin nightclubs and some other nightclubs that hire off-duty police officers to be their security. And some of those police officers, just like any police officers, are good police officers, but there are some that are bad apples that might be trying to harass some of the young ladies, and also might be using it to do their own dirt, including maybe some of their own drug dirt and everything like that. Because I'm sure that Kim can testify that there are some good officers that are out there, but there are also some bad officers that are.
But there's good bouncers and there's bad bouncers.
Right.
There's good and bad. One of the things that have intrigued me is the question. I don't know why enough people aren't asking it. Some people are, but nobody's really focused on it. Is why is Trump targeting all his rage on Minnesota? Why? And my theory, my ultimate theory, always resorts back to the pedophile trends that he's part of in the Epstein files. But Minnesota, back in March of 2025, arrested what I call one of the Reich Republicans that were pedophiles, and arrested Justin Eckhorn, a senator, who is a Republican, for luring and raping children and girls. And I think it's because Minnesota refuses to release him. So if you noticed by June of 2025, Minnesota had MAGAs assassinating 2 of their senators, with a long list of other Democrat senators to be assassinated. So I feel like that was a little fear tactic, but nobody bowed down. And so now he's sending in the packs of untrained dogs, basically, right? The savaged packs of untrained dogs that you normally would shoot and kill and put out of their misery before they kill any more people. But we don't, because they're humans. But these are untrained people attacking Minnesota. So why do you think why is Trump targeting Minnesota? Why?
A couple things. One is, Trump said he was running for president this time for vengeance. So Tim Walz dared to run for VP against Trump, and Trump doesn't like that. Also, there's this whole Somali thing. They've been using Somalis to scare people. Even before the election, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Now you have a daycare, and Somalis look scary based on that Captain Phillips, Tom Hanks thing, because Somalis were engaging in piracy and taking over ships. They have this look of they look skinny because their country doesn't have enough food, so they're like boogeymen that the right uses to scare the shit out of people. Daycare fraud has very little to do with illegal immigration. It's just the right tries to lump it together into one big ball of fear.
Daycare fraud, to me, is not the worst of worst crimes. The worst of worst crimes are the pedophile crimes mentioned in Epstein's files. Okay, those are horrific crimes. And, they allowed Trump to redact his name from them and his friends. Those are the worst crimes. I don't really give a damn anymore about people who, embezzle money or whatever. Trump has been doing that for years. He's convicted as a felon for doing such things. But, so quite honestly, if the president doesn't get, sent to jail for it, why should anybody else? But to me, the one thing that is just triggering me more than anything, and people are falling for it, and Trump used it in his campaign, is that they are saying, what about these women who were raped and killed by migrants? Okay, we need to get rid of every migrant because of that. Well, let me explain something to you. Every year, 12 million women and 24 million children and 6 million men, but anyway, are victims to domestic violence, to physical abuse, to horrific abuses, kidnapping, raping, and 10,000, people don't know this number, 10,000 women, I know this particular number, are killed. I know a lot of stats on this. Okay. I know it inside and out. Okay. So why not go after all of the men? Why are we shunning the women who were killed or abused or beaten or raped by American men? Is it okay? Are we saying it's okay are we grooming the people to say it's okay for American men to rape and kill women and children, but it's not okay for migrants?
We do things by
is that what we're doing?
So when
I'm insulted.
If you're a lib and you say Renee Good, then conservatives come back and say, well, why do you care about her and you don't care about Laken Riley, who was a young, I think, nursing student who was killed by an immigrant? And so
well, then why don't you care about the 12 million women
right,
who have been raped and abused? I've thrown that in their faces.
But CNN has already gone to commercial. You have time for one soundbite, and the conservative Scott Jennings gets in there and throws out Lake and Riley, and then they go to commercial, and nobody has time to mention the 12 million.
Right. But because you can't. And I got into a fight with a friend, MAGA, who will never talk to me again, but I did. That's all I said. And she was so like, I think embarrassed by it. She never talked to me again. But I asked her, I said, because she said, say her name. And I go, well, can you say all 12 million women or 24 million children's names who were raped and killed by American men? Because if you can, then I'll say her name. But until you can't, I'm not going to insult any of the other American women and children who were raped and killed or abused by American men. To me, that's an insult. And so she never spoke to me again. In fact, she deleted me from her Facebook. And I don't care, because if you're going to be manipulated to be that way, then you're no good in my life anyway. I can't have people who allow themselves to be manipulated.
I have some stats out of England, because when I argue with Lance, he likes to say that Pakistani immigrants are super rapey, and that happens to be as a demographic group. Yes, they have higher rape rates, but England is 81% white. And white guys are responsible for 78% of the rapes in England. So they're pretty, so the vast majority, and the percentages are very close, where, okay, you might have these little teeny populations that are rapey, but overall, it's everybody in England. It's white guys doing, most of the raping.
So I think we're missing
white wealthy men in the Epstein files. 100% of them white wealthy men, majority from America. There are a few internationals.
Yeah, I think we're missing the whole point of why he's in Minnesota. I mean,
that's what I was asking, though. I personally think it's to release justice.
Well, let's hear what Jacoby.
We just have to be blunt. We have to be honest. We have to be completely blunt, and we have to be completely honest. The problem.
I hear you.
Is my volume louder?
There you go.
Okay. So we have to be completely blunt and completely honest. He tried to do what he's doing in Minnesota and LA. There were no targets in LA. He could go after brown people, but he could not get a target or a boogeyman. He tried, the stuff that was happening in Ohio, oh, they're eating their cats and dogs, that died out in the campaign. So he couldn't use that as a target. What became the next target? The Somalian people. What are the Somalian people? Not only are some of them Muslim, so he can create that boogeyman. That's a check off the box, but they're brown skinned. That's a check off the box. This whole push has been about getting anybody who's brown. They just went after I think it was Ecuador's consulate that was in the U.S. ICE just went to his house. So this has nothing to do with criminals. This has nothing. I mean, yes, it's sure we can throw in the Epstein files that is partially a cover up of that.
But do you think that they're trying to train people to hate the brown people to divert that? Because 100% of the men in the Epstein files are wealthy.
I get all that.
Wealthy white.
I get that. I understand that. But we're missing the point.
I think they're trying to direct people.
They've already stated that this is the whitening of America. So when we talk about the Epstein files, sure, you've got the Epstein files, but Stephen Miller is a white supremacist. I don't know why we keep going to this white nationalist if that's a sanitized version of saying a white supremacist. That's what it is. It's a white supremacist.
It's not.
So this is the whitening of America, and this is what's been going on. This is what he even said he was going to do. So when he's demonized every brown-skinned individual he could. Dr. Sharif has pointed out how it looks from outside of the country of the anti-Muslim hate. That isn't white Christian nationalism. That is
what I noticed, though. A lot of people have.
And these are the things. And when he's retweeting white supremacist propaganda, and we just let it slide, like, oh well, he didn't say anything about it. No, he retweeted that mess. He said it. He's given a megaphone to these things. So women do not have a platform. Look at what old Drunky McDrunkerson is doing in the Department of Defense, where he's removing all the women in there. That's there's a pattern to this, and we can see it. He is Bull Connor in the 2026 era. This is what he's doing. So the Somali people became a target because, one, again, it's easy to demonize people who aren't American. So you notice how the Somalian people who are American, Somali Americans, they never say that they're Americans. They just say they're from Somalia. That's it. From Somalia. So they demonize them and keep going after him because it's easier to do that for his base, and his base will come back with whatever excuse possible to justify what he does. This is blatant and open state-sponsored discriminatory practices, and we're ignoring it because we want to justify it in other ways. It is.
Tell me just really quickly. I had a question for you about that and it comes back to another issue that I brought up earlier, and it was nuclear reactors, by the way, Rick, and everything like that. So he's changing the rules around nuclear reactors so that he can build new nuclear reactors, and we know from history that a lot of times those reactors are built in our Black and brown community. So this could be another example of his targeting our community. So I was wondering your thoughts about this, because he wants to build, I think it's like 5 or 6 new nuclear reactors, and he's changed the safety rules so that he can build these reactors.
AI uses a ton of energy. So we need nuclear reactors, but we need reasonable supervision and safety. And that means maybe don't build your reactors next to populated areas. Make sure that the reactors are modern reactors that are more fail-safe, and don't remove safety precautions, because like I said, 3 Mile Island in the 70s was another reactor disaster. This one in the US that happened because people were being idiots. They made mistakes. The reactor was fine. It's more rare that you get a Fukushima where a tidal wave screwed up the reactors. Usually it's human error.
So I want to interrupt here just a little bit, because that became somewhat of a big topic at the oil, gas, and energy conferences last year with the world leaders. And I'm going to attend this year because I don't want to miss it. But nuclear facilities, but what a lot of people don't understand, we are our own problem of a nuclear attack, because we have so many nuclear facilities. And if you live within a 20-mile radius, odds are if it gets hit or blows up, you're gone. Don't even think about it. So, and I worked at a nuclear facility while I was co-oping through college, and I learned a lot. But what I have learned at the oil, gas, and energy meetings, it's not just about oil and gas, is that they have devised new nuclear facilities that would be less dangerous on land and to communities, and they're ships. They're nuclear-powered ships that can generate nuclear power and bring them back to our country. Plus, being on the ocean, they would stay cool and everything like that. I didn't get a chance to look at them very much. It was introduced to me at the very tail end of the conference, and I just have been too busy to keep up with the progress. But I hope that's what I hope to catch up with, because former Ambassador Frances Scott, who is the first female American ambassador we ever had, she introduced me to them. And so I just think that nuclear, investing in more nuclear, it is somewhat clean, actually, to be honest with you. Japan has made it very clean, but I still think it's very dangerous for us. It's more dangerous with Trump allowing militants to go into Idaho. And everyone says, well, there's no nuclear facility in Idaho. But by him allowing other people to go in there, the main research facility for all the nuclear plants and the nuclear plants communicate is in Idaho. I just want to give you a heads up about that. That's
all right. So the U.S. has 54 nuclear sites, which is fewer than they have in France, which has 1/5 of the population. So we have some sites, and we have them in crazy places sometimes. We have one in San Luis Obispo. There's a book called Nuclear War everybody should read by Annie Jacobson that talks about if North Korea launched a missile at San Luis Obispo and took out that plant, it leads to huge disaster. And yes, putting them on ships off the coast, yeah, that makes sense. And but
Oh yeah,
So
I can't wait to see the progress they made. I'm gonna make it a point to try to find them my first day.
and if we get fusion working, which
Fusion would be great.
That's crazy technique. It's super
It's
complicated.
very dangerous, but yeah.
It's not.
So right
Fusion
now-
is very undangerous because you don't have any uranium or plutonium. It's all hydrogen turning into freaking helium. It's you blow up a fusion plant, nothing happens.
So the big thing with fusion, the only major danger with fusion is the amount of heat coming off of it. Because that's what they're having to break through right now, which evidently China has already made a big breakthrough in nuclear fusion, which would be great because that could help power a lot of the AI, because AI is really going to destroy a lot of the environment. And especially the cooling of it is going to destroy a lot of the environment. But yeah, so
But fusion's not a bad choice. It really
fusion,
is. There's
fusion isn't,
some
but we're
great
not
progress in it, and I really like. I think it's more cost effective once it passes through.
Mhm.
I like what other countries are doing with their garbage piles, tapping into the energy generated out of garbage. I mean,
There's
why aren't we doing more of that? I mean, that's free research if you can stand
big oil.
the smell. So, I mean,
we subsidize oil companies, so therefore, if they don't get first dibs and they don't make their money off of it, it's kind of hard to really push that. But
So
then,
oil-
just really
oil
quick to get back to
take all the money.
Minneapolis or get back to Minnesota real quick, they ICE was using LRAD, the long range acoustic devices.
oh yeah,
Um,
I saw that.
Yep, which is horrible. So Minnesota is a canary in the coal. Well, there were other parts that were canary in the coal mines, and I want to use that. But Minnesota should be a wake up call for everybody because of
They'll use it against
not
us.
only the experimental equipment that they're using, the militarizing of ICE, and how they're being a private security force, how they're racially profiling people, literally racially profiling people. They've openly admitted that they're racially profiling people.
Yes, they have.
So
They
It
went
should
to
be a
court to
wake-up
have
call.
the right to racially profile, to pull you out of your car if you're brown or if you've got an accent.
and then they're normalizing it, and that's the scariest part.
That's the scary part. They're grooming
And-
us to be normal with it. And that's,
Yep. And that's
women are
where-
being attacked and dragged to the ground by masked men. And a man comes up to help her, and he's now the criminal because he's interfering, but he sees masked men attacking a woman.
So
I'm
I
sorry,
wanna
I don't
remind
buy
people-
into this masked policing.
I
don't.
want to remind people
buy
that
into it.
73% of the people picked up by ICE have no criminal record.
Right.
And only
And-
5.2% of the people, one person out of 19 picked up by ICE, is one of those bad hombres with a violent criminal record. So for every 19 people they pick up, 14 of them, no criminal record at all. Only one of them, has a violent. So
Well, and also
it-
do a little fact check, which I've struggled with. How many of them are officially Americans or are in the database to become Americans? Those are the ones that I think it's wrong to, because they go, well, they didn't follow due process, but then now you're detaining people who are following due process. What kind of message are you sending out to people? And this LRAD thing has me terrified because they can control a whole city with this. They
Again,
can
it's-
control a
it's
whole
a-
city. And my advice to people, because they're sending them out in drones, my advice is learn how to shoot doves. Just go out dove shooting with the family. Folks down in Texas, I'm telling you right now, eventually you're going to hate Trump. You might not right now, but eventually you will. keep doing your dove shooting because you're going to want to shoot those drones out of the sky. So just saying.
What also is, I mean, it's just the whole thing is disturbing how normalized it's getting. And we never even, like, even on here, we talk about ICE being in there and people bring up, oh, well, there are 2,000 ICE agents for fraud. ICE does not do investigations into fraud. That's not what ICE does.
What bothers me more, Jatovia, and you kind of worded it, but I'm going to add a little bit more. It's not just the normalizing of it. To me, it's the way they manipulate and twist the truth around to justify it. And, oh, it's okay because she shouldn't have been there anyway. I want to slap anyone who says that. I mean, what country were you born in? Please go back, because that's not America that I was born in. I was allowed to go any damn where I want in my minivan and do anything I want as long as I wasn't killing anyone. And it's bad. We're justifying it. That's bad.
This is where it gets really scary. Is that the followers of this stuff, they don't even need that justification. What it is they voted for this man because he makes liberals mad. So they will stick and ride with that. They don't care about a justification. They will turn and take anything to argue. Like when Rick, you were talking about arguing with Lance and bringing up Ashley Babbitt. Ashley Babbitt has nothing to do with what happened to Alex Peretti.
Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley has nothing to do with Alex Peretti. Lincoln Riley, Ashley Babbitt, all these examples that they want to bring up. It has nothing to do with what happened. But hey, it's a justification. Now I can do a deflection and a whole whataboutism, a straw man argument, and I have protected and I have now made you mad. So it's funny to me that you're mad that this man is making you mad. Oh, I like that. And that's what gets me about some people as an individual who is on vacation this week that I got to poke fun at because he puts it up on his Facebook and then comes and plays the bad guy. When you're playing the bad guy, you're still spreading misinformation still actually feeding the beast and normalizing it.
Are you talking about Nick? Are you talking about Nick?
Exactly.
Hey, Nick, we all love you. Happy birthday. I hope you're enjoying your birthday vacation. It is well-deserved. I hope that you're watching us today because we do love you. I do know that you do it to also aggravate people, to get them aware of what's being said. So I attack you back as well. I love you. Please don't take it wrong. We're all here for the better good of man and to try to bring you conversations that make you aware of as much of the truth as we can. Don't be manipulated. Ask the wise. Okay. Don't just ask. Go find out for yourself.
Well, this is also the sportification of politics, where there's always been a lot of shit talking among fans in sports. And, it's mostly in good fun unless you come to Dodger Stadium where you might get your head beaten in for, wearing the wrong jersey. But, it's moved.
That's true. That is true.
But
right.
It's moved into politics where, you're just trying to score points. You're trying to make the other side feel bad. And it gets rid of a lot of it pushes out a lot of the substance in favor of who can get the best one-liner hit in.
Yep. Well, and I think that the sportification of politics needs to come to an end. I don't think we need a two-party system anymore. I think we need to start electing officials that are people, real people, for the people. And when we get rid of the parties, we get rid of all the party favors and all of the corruption that's going on right now. I actually even believe that people in both parties work together to confuse people. So I actually think that they're actually working together.
You do get, like, Eisenhower was president from 53 to 61. And he was revered in America, and both parties recruited him to run for president. He went with the Republicans, but he was, not super political. In fact, he he kind of hated politics. His farewell address warned against the military-industrial complex, and he presided over, there was the Cold War, and that sucked, and there was a ton of racism because it was the 50s, but it was besides the Cold War, it was, and the Korean War. But I mean, he was a reasonable, like, calm president. And yeah, when you don't have an overtly political president, it's better for the country.
I also think that Trump needs a civil war, and I guess it's time to quit. Thank you. It's time to wrap, folks. Thank you very much for watching. We're going to be trying to launch a couple of new shows coming up. One of them will be Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to discuss the Epstein files. We are going to be working from a timeline in a book that I published. You can get a free copy, soft copy, which is easier to click to the real links and the original links of the court records before, they weren't redacted when I had access to them, but I also downloaded them. So you can see both. But anyway, we're going to be starting that. I hope to look forward to seeing you guys to talk about this and break it down. We won't just start at the very beginning of Epstein's life. I want to kind of dig into the dirt. So I hope to see you guys there. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care. Who put the funny up? Was that you, Mark?
I didn't do that. So somebody else must have done
Who
that.
put the funny up? Is Nick here?
I don't know.
Did you put that up?
Toby might have put it up because Toby's got access.
I love it. Can you find the outro?
My computer's acting crazy, so the outro should be right there at the top under media.
I don't see it. So we'll just sit here and talk a wee bit. You didn't talk much while we're all running our mouths.
No, I was talking a little bit, and then the computer started to do crazy stuff. But yeah, I was talking before you got here and everything because I was the one that brought up the nuclear reactor, and then we were talking about mentorship.
The nuclear reactors do scare me because the more we put up, then the more open we are to attacks because it's just nothing more than a nuclear bomb in our backyard. Does it make good, clean nuclear energy? Yeah, but I feel like it will be more dangerous for us than I don't have the Wednesdays. What you said it's under media?
It's under media. It should be under Wednesday, and it should be under media. It should be the
Wednesday.
Yeah. It's that one with.
There we go. Let's take a look at Wednesday shows. How far down is it? And well, folks, this is the challenge we have sometimes when someone who hasn't been here in a long time just happens to pop in and
no problem.
Do the outros. I don't see the outros.
You see media and you see what towards the bottom and everything. Oh, hold on a second.
I see Wednesday. I don't see media.
It was under video clips. I got it now. It's
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.